Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. We recently had the opportunity to take an amazing cruise around the Western Mediterranean on one of NCL's largest ships, the Norwegian Escape. Weighing in at a whopping 165,000 tons, and with an ability to hold over 4,200 guests, this ship is fourth in size and first in number of passengers it can hold in NCL's fleet. You will see in our video that we actually thought it held its passengers quite well, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the venues are large, and we also found the rooms to be quite comfortable as well. Be sure to check out our full ship tour with information on all of the various dining and entertainment venues on board if you haven't already. In this video, we will dive into our balcony cabin and take a quick look around and let you know what we thought of it. The first thing we noticed as we walked down the hall to our room was that the hallways do have a much more modern, yet still classic cruise ship feel, which we sort of liked. You will also find the classic NCL carpet fish as you walk down the hall, which can help you figure out which way you're going. This is a little tip if you're ever on the older ships of NCL. The fish on these carpets always swim towards the front of the ship. As we made our way to the room, it's important to note that the ship was recently refurbished in 2022, so there are some fairly new and nice features in this room that you won't find on some of the other older NCL ships. However, there are still several areas of this room that feel a bit old. Let's check out our balcony stateroom, number 10726. Immediately walking into the room, we felt that the decor and colors were again very classic for a cruise ship. We generally don't like the stark white that many of the newer cruise ship cabins have, as those tend to feel very cold and unwelcoming, but of course that is a personal preference. There is still the classic dark wood paneling across the lower portion of the rooms in the Escape, with much brighter cream-colored walls on the upper portion. The decor in the room was somewhat modern, with some modern wall hangings and an accent wall behind the bed. The fixtures here were obviously replaced in the last retrofit as well, and made for a very smart feel. Walking further into the room, we found that it felt quite spacious despite our bed being right against the wall closest to the door. This is never our favorite room configuration, but the rooms on the Escape do alternate with beds being on opposite sides of the room, so if this is something that matters to you, make sure to check out with the cruise line the orientation of your room before you board. Of course, the first thing we come to in the room is the bed. This bed was fairly comfortable, though the mattress was definitely not as soft as we would have liked. Overall, though, we slept very well on this cruise, and we found the bedding and pillows to be in line with the other cruises that we've taken with NCL. Comfortable indeed. You do have the option to pull the beds apart to make two twin beds if you want. You just have to ask your cabin steward. Next to each side of the bed is a small movable shelf with a tabletop to serve as a bedside table, and there's also storage above the bed to place items like phones, eye masks, water bottles, or anything else you might need during the night. On each side of the bed are also those lamps, which serve as reading lights as well. These can be switched on and off independently, and they also have USB ports for charging phones, watches, or other devices while you're sleeping. These charging ports are always nice to have, and at this point it's actually surprising when we don't have chargers right next to the bed on these ships. Moving along, you'll find a small couch that's actually very wide, so someone could sleep here if they wanted to. The couch in our room didn't pull out, but it came in handy when we wanted to watch TV. Speaking of TV, each room is equipped with a large TV and remote. You can use the TV in your room to do several things, including checking out all of the venues and getting more information about shops and restaurants. You can also check the status of your onboard account, as well as make reservations at the various specialty restaurants on board. Due to the size of the ship, we also found that making reservations for shows was a really good function of this TV. We actually used it to book our seats to the Choir of Man show, which ended up being absolutely amazing. Of course, you can also find several movies on offer here, but just be aware that you will be charged cruise ship prices for this option, $10 and up depending on the title. Right underneath the TV is a desk area, which was also fairly spacious, and it had a seat that you could pull out. The seat also had an attachment that could make it a small table for the couch, or you could take it off and use it as a footstool. This desk is definitely not lacking power. Here you'll find 3 North American outlets and 1 European socket, which was great for us. These were the only plugs we found in the room though, other than the USBs and the lights next to the bed, so if you have any items that you need to plug into a socket while you're asleep, you should ask the cruise line to accommodate for an extension cord. There also aren't any other USBs other than the lamps by the bed in the room. Moving back towards the door, you'll find your light switches and the little slot that you need to put your key in to power the room. You'll also find the makeup room and do not disturb lights here, which will indicate on the outside of your room what you want your room steward to do on any particular day. Make sure that you switch these into the appropriate position before you leave. You'll also find a thermostat here, which we found to be very responsive in the heat of summer in the Mediterranean. We were very comfortable in our room during our journey. Now we will enter the bathroom, which we must say is a very standard cruise bathroom. At times, the configuration did make the toilet area feel a bit cramped, but overall it was a very comfortable space. We also found the shower to be a standard size, but we did enjoy the detachable and movable shower head, as well as the clothesline in the shower, though ours didn't retract. You'll also find free shampoo and body wash in here that you can use. The bathroom also had several shelves near the sink, which made up for the slightly small counter area. We found no issues in keeping everything that we needed to in the bathroom. We also did like that there were hooks on the back of the door for towels, something which we found to be missing on some of the more recent cruises that we've taken. Right next to the bed is a closet, and it's actually a good size for a cruise ship. There were plenty of hangers in here. Half of the closet was an area to hang longer clothes, and then there was also an area that had shelves for other types of clothing. There were no drawers in this closet or anywhere in the room, however. Now we come to arguably the best part of the balcony cabin, the balcony itself. Our balcony was a standard balcony, and it was a very comfortable size. It came with 2 chairs and a small table, and overall the whole balcony felt very fresh and newly painted. One thing we didn't like so much, however, was that none of the balconies, except those on deck 8, had a direct sea view. You always had to be looking over your balcony at either another balcony on deck 8, the waterfront promenade, or the lifeboats. If you're high enough on the ship, this shouldn't be a huge problem, but on decks 9 and 10, we did feel like we were peering into the downstairs neighbors' lives. If you're on deck 8, you'll have to deal with the entire ship being able to look onto your balcony. Overall, we really did enjoy our room, and it made our stay on the Escape that much more comfortable during our Mediterranean cruise. Of course, our room was a double occupancy room, but if you're a solo cruiser, there's also a section of the ship that you can stay in that caters specifically to single cruisers. That is the Studio Suites area. These Studio Suites can be found in the forward sections of deck 10, 11, and 12. This section of the ship is completely private for these solo cruisers, and you'll need to have keycard access in order to get into a small bar, a lounge, and a breakfast area that hosts free food and refreshments throughout the day. The solo rooms themselves are also perfect for a single person, featuring a smaller bed, a small desk with a television, and a bathroom area. There are also several different light settings to give the room ambiance, and a frosted glass window that looks out into the hallway to let a bit more light in the evenings. All of these rooms are inside cabins, but one person in our party found it to be just perfect for her, and it was a very comfortable accommodation. Of course, this option is also much cheaper than the single occupancy option for an inside cabin, which is something that NCL offers. In fact, you can get solo occupancy on nearly any class of stateroom, but you will always be paying a little bit more than you would for these solo cabins. We really enjoyed our cruise on board the NCL Escape, and we hope that this video gave you a good idea of what your accommodation could be like. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one!